Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm bringing you Game 1 in a very exciting best of 3 series against Blake Hopper, also known as Bopper. Blake's established himself as one of the country's best players recently, and he finished 11th at Worlds last summer, losing to Sejong Park in the last round of Swiss. He got there by grinding in through the last chance qualifier, which is also really impressive by itself. This was a best of 3 series that we had as part of Nugget Bridge's NPA tournament. The previous best of 3 set I uploaded was also from that tournament, so go check those games out if you have not already. Anyway, going into this set, I knew that Blake would most likely try to counter team the team I've been using all season, which is of course the Hariyama Gothitelle team, so I switched things up a little bit, replaced 4 of the 6 Pokemon I've been using with Zapdos, Conkeldurr, Charizard, and Hydreigon. The last 2 were of course Gothitelle and Mawile, but Blake basically had everything to counter Gothitelle and Mawile. He had Charizard, Mienshao, Garchomp, and Aegislash, which he brought to the first game. He also had Rotom Wash and Bisharp, so had I brought my original team, I basically would have been done for in terms of just team matchup. Still, this is not the best of team matchups for me just because I have a huge issue against his Garchomp and I can't bring out my slow mode to set up the Trick Room. So the goal of game 1 for me here is to obviously try and win, but also to figure out what sets, especially he's running on the Garchomp. So without further ado, let's get right into the first game. Now, like I said, I don't have many good ways to deal with that Garchomp. He outspeeds my entire team, can one-hit KO things like Charizard and even Hydreigon if he's carrying a Life Orb. And I have 2 ways of dealing with it, or one-hit KOing it, which is a Dragon Pulse from my Hydreigon or a HP Ice from the Zapdos, but Blake's going to be smart, I'm sure, and he's not going to let his Garchomp just faint carelessly like that. So I lead with Zapdos and Conkeldurr against his Mienshao and Garchomp. Turn 1, he gets the Fake Out against my Zapdos, and I do have the Rocky Helmet, so I break any potential Focus Sashes he may be carrying, which is always really good. Garchomp surprises me by going for the Substitute, but that was definitely a smart play on his end. I am running Life Orb and Hammer Arm on this Conkeldurr, so had he not gone for the sub, I would have been just able to pick up a KO, but instead he's able to prevent that, and I decrease my speed, though that's not really going to matter. Now, seeing sub on that Garchomp gives me some relief because it means he's probably not carrying Rock Slide, which is really good news for the Charizard Y I have in the back. This following turn, I decide to Hammer Arm the Mienshao and HP Ice the Garchomp, knowing I can pick up at least one hit KO if he doesn't switch, and he switches out the Garchomp into Aegislash, conserving it, which is really smart. Like I said, Blake isn't just going to give up Garchomp since it's really important in this matchup, but I do get my Hammer Arm off against the Mienshao, and that actually picks up the one-hit KO. Life Orb, Hammer Arm with Conkeldurr is really powerful. So I take some more recoil damage here from the Life Orb, but I'm in a great position. I'm still up 4-3, and he hasn't been able to get any offense on his end really set up. He brings in Charizard here, and I definitely got baited right into this next turn. I double up into the Charizard with a Thunderbolt and Rock Slide, really aggressively trying to pick up the KO, but instead he protects, which is a really smart play on his end. There's not much he can lose if he protects, and he's basically able to get a turn of free damage off here. As I waste the Thunderbolt, he gets the Shadow Ball off against my Conkeldurr, and I do hang on with 35 HP, but Rock Slide unfortunately isn't going to do anything to the Charizard, which protects, and Aegislash takes a small amount of damage from that. Now I'm in a really bad position. This game can quickly turn from 4-3 in my favor to 3-2 in his favor. I know I still feel pretty good given that I have Hydreigon and Charizard in the back, but once again, he's got Garchomp conserved in the back, and that's what's really worrying me. Now this following turn, I'm not expecting him to be able to pick up a knockout onto my Zapdos with the Charizard, so I double it up with a Thunderbolt and a Mach Punch, and I expect that to KO. So Mach Punch goes off, and that goes off successfully. Deals around 30%, which is actually more than I expected. Of course, that Life Orb really proving clutch. And he goes for the Overheat with this Charizard onto my Zapdos. And this is a pretty bulky Zapdos. I don't expect it to KO, but he actually picks up the one-hit knockout onto that. And now I'm really concerned because he'll be able to pick up 2 KOs essentially. One onto the Zapdos and one right here onto Conkeldurr. Had he not been able to knock out my Zapdos there, I would have been able to take a lead by KOing the Charizard. And then, of course, I would have had my own Charizard and Hydreigon in the back to deal with his Aegislash and Garchomp. Now I'm down 2-3, and you still got Garchomp in the back, and things are not looking very good for me. At this point, I have to, kind of think of a game plan. And the one thing I can kind of think of is the only way I can turn this into my favor is if I pick up 2 knockouts on the same turn. Now, he can either switch out the Charizard or continue to attack with it. I'm expecting the Aegislash here, however, to King Shield just to prevent any damage, and I don't want this to turn into a 2-on-2. For example, if I knock out the Charizard here, then he'll be able to have both Garchomp and Aegislash out, and that's probably going to be a loss for me. So I actually want to attack into his Protect this turn because I don't want it to turn into a 2-on-2, and he does stay on with that Charizard. not because he knows the Garchomp is the key to winning this game, and he doesn't want to just carelessly lose it. For example, if I just target the Charizard slot with either a Dark Pulse or a Dragon Pulse, I'll be able to KO it. So Blake makes a smart play here, but fortunately enough, I basically get a free turn's worth of damage here. He protects with Aegis Slash or King Shields, but that's not really going to help him since I'm going to knock him out the next turn anyway, and Charizard really isn't doing much with its overheats as it keeps on decreasing its special attack. So I basically set the game up to where I want it to be. I'm able to pick up a double knockout this following turn as I get the Heat Wave off, and boosted by the Sun, that's going to knock out Aegis Slash without fail. So I was pretty happy at the way the last 2 turns played out, because I was kind of hoping he'd stay in with the Charizard and just let me pick up 2 knockouts in 2 turns, and that's exactly how it plays out. So now I've got a medium, HP Charizard, a full HP Hydreigon against this Life Orb Garchomp that's most likely not carrying Rock Slide. So the moment of truth is basically in the next couple of turns. If he has Rock Slide, he most likely will be able to win, bearing my Dark Pulse does not KO the Garchomp. If he has Dragon Claw, then I really need him, which he does obviously, I need to KO him with this Overheat. So he goes for the Dragon Claw into my Hydreigon, and with that Life Orb boost, it is going to be able to knock it out. Normally Hydreigons can survive non-boosted Dragon Claws, so it all comes down to this final Overheat, and he still is around 60% from that Garchomp, so I'm not expecting a KO here, but it goes down, and it picks up the one-hit knockout onto that Garchomp. So the not very effective Overheat boosted by the Sun from Charizard Y, Modest Nature, is able to pick up the knockout and take a very close game 1 in this best of 3 series. I definitely thought it was over after I carelessly doubled up into the Zapdos, or into his Charizard earlier on in the game, but I was able to manage to pull through mainly because the Overheat was able to knock it out. But Blake played really well. I didn't feel like either of us were playing better than each other. We were predicting each other back and forth, and I knew I still had to win one more game if I wanted to win the best of 3 series. So stay tuned for those games. I'll be uploading them in the upcoming days. If you enjoyed the battle, as always, leave a like, and I'll see you next time, guys. Peace.